2024 first round rookie wide receiver Ricky Pearsall is the biggest beneficiary if Brandon Aiyuk gets traded. I'm going to discuss this and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parsons. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. Guys, got a fun show to break down for you. Stock up for Ricky Pearsall. There's a big trade request from the San Francisco 49ers with star wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. If that materializes, how does that impact the rookies' 2024 season? We're going to talk about that. Talise Fuaga at left tackle. There's big news came out this week that offensive tackle for the New Orleans Saints, Ryan Ramczyk, will not be able to play this season. He's on the PUP list, so we can get into that. And then second-year breakout in the NFL, Nolan Smith, edge rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we get into all that action, guys, LinkedIn helps you find the quality candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Stock up for Ricky Pearsall, right? That's how it looks to me. And the reason why I say that, guys, with the trade request earlier this week, and it's been kind of brewing the issue in San Fran with the contract extension or lack thereof for star wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, right? We saw it in the Super Bowl back in February. He was the one winning. He was the one getting open, but he was never the first read or first part of the progression for Brock Purdy. So that was also a big problem, because if you feed him in that game, you might knock off and unseat Patrick Mahomes at the top of the mountain. And ever since then, it's just been a constant just downhill spiral, right? It's like a boulder picking up more and more dirt and rocks, and now it, or a small rock, a mold, right, coming down the hill, and it's just picking up more and more just excess dirt and other rocks. It becomes a boulder of sort. Yes, like how we saw in the cartoons back in the 90s, for those who were alive back then. It's like that. And I think Ricky Pearsall, with this drama, I think training camp is going to be big for Ricky Pearsall. And I'm going to tell you why I say that, guys. If Ricky Pearsall goes out there and just balls out, right, and talking about handling his business every day. If you remember, I was higher on Ricky Pearsall than a lot of people. I had Ricky Pearsall over Lab McConkey and different things like that. I actually they were graded very similar, but Ricky Pearsall would have been my preference because he can play. To me, he was more effective playing both inside and out than Lad was, and both are tremendous talents. Brandon Aiyuk for the San Francisco 49ers is their one true, up until this point, has been their one true real wide receiver. And this is no disrespect to Deebo Samuel. Love Deebo, right? But the way that they use Deebo isn't as a traditional wide receiver. It's more so like a wide back, as they call it, where he plays wide receiver, but he also plays running back. And it's just a lot of manufactured touches. It's a lot of in the middle of the field things. It's not a lot of great route running. It's not a one-on-one, can't you defeat the best corner on the field type energy and type play making. We don't get that from Deebo. They don't use Deebo for that. They use Brandon Aiyuk for that. So when they need to go outside the numbers, when they need to attack single coverage, Brock Purdy throws to Brandon Aiyuk typically when they need those big plays outside the numbers and down the field. Now, you lose Brandon Aiyuk, you lose a big part of your offense, right? Now, having Ricky Pearsall can alleviate that to some extent, because Ricky Pearsall is a traditional wide receiver. He wins with route tempo. He wins with route running and pacing, quickness out of the breaks, stem work, body positioning, leaning into defenders, knowing when to break, knowing when to push a little bit further upfield vertical, then work back down on that comeback route or that curl route. He knows how to do those type of things, similar to Brandon Aiyuk. And that's why you spend a first-round pick on it, because at the end of the day, the writing was on the wall, right? The reports are that they're not even interested, or they're not, if I remember correctly reading it, they're really not like engaged in contract negotiations right now with Brandon Aiyuk. The writing was on the wall back in April, guys. First round, 31st pick in the first round of the 2024 NFL draft was wide receiver out of Florida, Ricky Pearsall. So I absolutely think that if Brandon Aiyuk's situation becomes just so hard to deal with, so hard to bear, I do believe that whether he's traded or not this season, right? And remember, there was talk like there were, I think, a friend of his or a best friend who calls himself his brother. I think there was his spouse. There were people from his circle tweeting and on Instagram, IG story. He was like the video leaked to him talking on FaceTime with Jaden Daniels saying, hey, I don't feel like they want me here and all these different things like that. And so, yeah, if this drama continues, Ricky Pearsall, like one of the best route runners in the 2024 NFL draft class, right? Probably top five for me, truthfully. Him being on this roster, like, yeah, it's a big chance that it's a big opportunity for him to take the bull by the horns and say, now let me go ahead and show you guys why you spent a first round pick on me, right? Because every pick is an investment. It's the ROI that we have to worry about. Do we get the return on investment? And I believe Ricky Pearsall is the type of receiver that we can get the return on if you're San Fran. With Kyle Shanahan, one of the greatest offensive minds in the game, right? Just calling plays. For example, we saw what Sean McVay has done with Cooper Kupp. We've seen what he's done with Van Jefferson when he's been healthy. We've seen what he's done with Puka Nacua. Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are very similar in terms of their styles and their intelligence, their ability to stress defenses. I think Ricky Pearsall is in for a big training camp, right? A monumental training camp of sorts. Because again, if he can go out there and if he can handle business, I think Ricky Pearsall can play his way into more snaps. And think about this. The momentum that builds, right? Like I said, the writing was on the wall. We all saw it. The writing was on the wall the moment you drafted Ricky Pearsall, the moment you didn't pay, the moment that Brandon Aiyuk was just disgruntled, right? Okay, cool, great, fine. So now we get to the middle of the season. There's a lot of talks about the Jets trading for Devontae Adams if the Raiders offense doesn't look right. Correct? Cool. I think there's a chance that Brandon Aiyuk gets traded, and if you get Ricky Pearsall on the field early, if he balls out in training camp, he balls out in preseason, Kyle Shanahan's gonna get this young man on the field, and he gets him on the field, and he's taking advantage, and he's balling in the even if it's minimal snaps, right? Let's say he plays 40 snaps, not 40. Let's say he plays 30 snaps a game on offense. He gets 2 or 3 targets, but he's cashing in on those opportunities, right? He's cashing in on those opportunities, and now he's cashing in, and he's impressing Kyle Shanahan. He's impressing John Lynch. And by doing that, he's impressing Brock Purdy. And all it takes is the quarterback saying, I really like this kid. And they say, you know what? I believe we can get a first-round pick from a team that needs a wide receiver today. And if that's the case, that's a big-time move. And then you can move Brandon Aiyuk before the trade deadline. You think about the Carolina Panthers. You think about different teams that absolutely need wide receiver help, the New England Patriots, so forth and so on. But, guys, that's Ricky Pearsall. Listen, big opportunity coming up for him. We're gonna get into Talise Fuaga playing left tackle position. He's never played throughout college. We're gonna talk about that and more for the New Orleans Saints coming up next. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your number one ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Why? Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your number one ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. even those who aren't actively looking or searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. 2.5 small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That is linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. New Orleans Saints rookie left tackle Talise Fuaga is kind of expected to take snaps at left tackle. This is something that's been brewing, I think, since like OTAs and minicamp, a month or so ago. And the word came out earlier this week that Ryan Ramczyk, their Pro Bowl, all pro caliber right tackle, is because he was rehabbing an injury. They placed him on the PUP list, and but based on the rules, if you are a veteran, if I remember correctly, if you're a veteran and you are placed on the PUP list, then before the season, before training camp, before everything really gets going, you will not be able to play. You're not eligible to play that season. And that's what happened with Ryan Ramczyk. So he's going to be out for the entire season. That's a big blow to an offensive line. That's a big blow to an offense that, truthfully, the coaching staff is riding on. The quarterback is riding on. Everything. Everybody is so much. There's so many jobs right now riding on this specific and particular situation. So, yes, without Ryan Ramczyk, that means word is that Trevor Penning is probably going to kick over to right tackle and that Talise Fuaga will flip and go play left. Now, mind you, neither one of these guys have played the opposite tackle position. Trevor Penning has mostly, and I think for his entire college career as well, been a left tackle. In the NFL, a left tackle. Talise Fuaga, during Oregon State, his time there, right tackle. I don't believe he ever played left tackle. So, yes, I think that's a big thing for me. And it is an interesting development because Trevor Penning has not panned out to this point at left tackle. Maybe switching over to right tackle, playing the same position as his former teammate who plays for the Buffalo Bills. He plays right tackle. So you kind of look at it, all right, if you can get some good play from him and development from him at right tackle, now you just got to hope that Talise Fuaga, who I remember tweeting about Talise Fuaga during the season and even after the season, during draft season, and people were, the upside isn't there because he's not a left tackle. He's a right tackle only. All this type of, positional value people, those people, those chums on Twitter, positional value, this, that, and the third. And now we're seeing that Talise Fuaga is probably going to be playing and taking snaps at left tackle. Heck, word was at one point that J.C. Latham might be taking snaps at left tackle for the Tennessee Titans, right? A guy that people say, he got to play guard and he has to either play right tackle. If both of these guys succeed at left tackle, it's going to change how we scout offensive tackles altogether. But there I digress. For Talise Fuaga, I think it's a big move, man. And this training camp is going to be huge, monumental, paramount for him. One of my favorite offensive linemen in this class. Physical, heavy-handed, strong-handed, quick-footed, a big guy, right? Saw him down at the Senior Bowl up close, being able to walk on the field during practice, having that access. Shout out to Jim Nagy, my guy over at the Senior Bowl, man. Him and the entire Senior Bowl staff do great work. Can't wait to see you guys, next February, in the next January, early February. But yeah, like seeing Talise Fuaga up in person, up close, and you're like, okay, you take appreciation to his size and his strength. He's a road grader. This is a monster. And anytime he's such a good run blocker, that's why people want him to play guard, because he's a people mover. He's going to displace you. He's going to latch those hands. He's going to run those feet. He's getting you off the spot. He's creating running lanes. You know what I mean? Was it Ron Jorkowski, Jaws, and remember the NFL show on ESPN where it was like, you get a seal, you get an alley. He's one of those guys who created one of those seals for Oregon State, and Damian Martinez, the running back who's now in Miami, and everything. So for me, man, just looking at what this could mean for them, Alvin Kamara, in the run game, of course, Kendre Miller, who you need to get more out of, right? But he's going to be a blindside protector for Derek Carr, and that's going to be the main thing, right? That's the key here. If you can protect and keep Derek Carr upright, keep him feeling comfortable, then you're in a good place, and you're in a good spot, and you feel happy about that. But again, it's just kind of tough because you don't know how this is going to play out, right? And in the NFC South, where there's not a lot of great edge rushers, and truthfully, the best edge rusher in that division is on his team. So I would, if I'm the DC and the head coach, I'm probably gonna put Cam Jordan on the left side, and I'm gonna test him as much as I can. I want to get him in those one-on-ones at left tackle and test him as much as I can. And like I said, guys, you turn on the tape of him at college, watch him versus UCLA now, current Colts rookie edge rusher, Latu Latu. Let me tell you something. You're talking about lockdown, shutdown. He was great against him. So again, this is a really good pass protecting tackle, but he was playing the right side for the majority of his snaps. So that's where it's a little, you wonder, right? You just wonder what you're going to get out of that situation, how it's going to play out. Because again, I think the run game, he's going to be fine. And, when we had Crafting Lyman on during the draft season, he talked about it, man. It's like writing with your left hand when you're right-handed. It's like swinging a bat with, if you're a right-handed right-hand batter, it's like swinging with your left hand, swinging from your left side, right? Switching stance as a boxer. If you're a right-handed boxer and you've never been southpaw, why are you switching to southpaw, right? In the middle of a fight. That's how you get knocked out. So it's things of that nature that you have to think about and that I think about. But I think Talise Fuaga has a work ethic, the mentality, the mindset, the character, everything to make it work and to work hard at it. And I'll say this move does not seem spur of the moment. This move seems calculated. This move seems like, hey, we know that this has been on the way. We prepared for it, and now we're going to execute our plan. So I wouldn't be surprised if Talise Fuaga in training, after rookie minicamp, rookie OTAs and minicamp and all that stuff, during that dead period of them being on vacation and then doing individualized training, I wouldn't be shocked if Talise Fuaga was working out as a left tackle this entire time. I would not be surprised if they told Talise Fuaga, hey, you're playing left tackle. They may not have made it known to the news and to the media, but they probably told him to prepare him and say, hey, listen, we're going to have you playing left tackle this year. So we want you to get prepared for what's to come. And knowing the type of worker he is, he more than likely went ahead and got into the lab and worked his butt off to get comfortable. Because now it's not just movement skills, it's muscle memory. It's getting that down, firing off with the opposite, opening the opposite hip compared to opening the right hip. Now you're opening the left hip, right? Getting that vertical set, getting that diagonal set, that jump set, quick set, things of that nature, right? And now you have to understand I'm going to deal with. Well, if you see a Cleveland Browns, Talise Fuaga, you got Myles Garrett, right? That's just what it is. You play a Dallas Cowboys, you got Micah Parsons, okay? Like this is the heavy is the head that wears the crown at left tackle. That's just what it is. And understanding what you're going to face at that position, right, is paramount. You play the Niners, guess who you're facing? Nick Bosa, okay? That's just what it is, baby. That is just what it is. And being prepared, being ready to go, ready to rock and roll. I think that he's got ready to go. I think that the organization kind of prepared him for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's more prepared to play left tackle than most people or the mass media, mass fan base really is expecting or thinking. But guys, talking about thinking and expecting, I'm expecting potential second-year breakout. Not even just me, but Darius Slay, Eagles quarterback, did an interview where he thinks Eagles second-year edge rusher Nolan Smith out of Georgia is primed for a big season. So we're going to talk about that coming up next. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Guys, one thing we tend to do is compare our lives to others. And social media plays a big part in that. Right? How many times have you been kind of down on your luck? You're not really happy with your life. You're scrolling Instagram. You're seeing happy pictures, happy reels, happy videos. And you're like, man, that person's life looks great. Well, guess what? Comparison is the thief of joy. And it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their Instagram, but in reality, they probably don't. And therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have. So you can start living your best life. And not only living your best life, but that means being the best version of yourself. Guys, if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/locked-on today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/locked-on. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everyday or second-year breakout candidate, Nolan Smith, a young man that for the Philadelphia Eagles, edge rusher, off-ball backer. He does a lot of different things, versatile guy. Came out of Georgia very, very raw as a prospect, right? He was speed, power, just whatever you needed him to do. On the season, only 10 tackles, 5 total pressures. He had 2 sacks. So numbers weren't, overwhelming, right? Especially in the class where you saw, Will Anderson from Bama just light the league up, being such a baller for the Houston Texans. With Nolan Smith, he was a first-round pick last year. Didn't start I don't believe he started a game last year, but he was a heavy participant on special teams. Last year, he played behind Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. Only took 182 snaps on defense, and like I said, he's mostly on special teams. But I think it was on the Chris Long podcast. Darius Slay said he looks a lot different this year, talking about Nolan Smith. One thing I can say about Nolan, ever since I met Nolan, he only knows one speed. He's one of the guys you have to watch out for your own self because he hits teammates and everybody. Even in practice, he's a guy that's going to run to the ball from all the coaches in the D-line 10 yards. He's not a 10-yard guy. He's more of a see ball, get ball type of defender. It's going to be a special year for him, especially after having him spending a year behind Hassan Reddick. I think it will be very special. And for this team, you need that. Let's be honest. The Eagles need that. If anything happens, and for their defense to take that step forward, they're going to need their first-round picks to take steps, right? They're going to need Jordan Davis to play more snaps and be a constant disruptive, big playmaker on the interior defensive line. Jalen Carter, listen, the way you started and played majority of that season last year, I need that for a full 17, right? I need it all season. Give me every bit of that, right? Brought in Bryce Huff, no more Hassan Reddick, right? You still have Josh Sweat, still have Brandon Graham. There's a lot, not just talent, there's a lot of knowledge in that edge rush room for Nolan Smith. And right now he's projected to be their starting Sam backer, where you have him at Sam, you have Devin White at the right, inside linebacker spot. You have Nakobe Dean, and then Bryce Huff will be the will in their kind of 3-4 base defense, right? That odd front base defense. And I think for me, that's where you see you get him stand up. For one, he's going to be a great edge defender, edge setter in the run game. That's something that Kirby Smart made, that you're going to get that from those type of guys, that they're going to set the edge. But for me, I think that's going to be a very big benefit to him. Not hand in the dirt. I'm going to 2-point stance. He's ready to go, ready to fire off, and gets downhill. And now you get downhill, shoot, and just work on the hand fighting ability in terms of what is your process and pass rush plan. What's your process? Are you long arm? Are you on a long armor guy? Are you going long arm into the push pull? Are you going long arm with the club? What do you have? Do you have the long arm over the swim move? Right? Are you going to sell the outside and Euro step back inside with a double hand swipe? Are you going to stab and rip? What combination of moves are you going to be able to pair together? Because when you're this type of athlete with this type of body and strength and arm length and explosiveness, downhill, you need to have a plan and the technique to advance your game to that next level. So a potential breakout candidate going into the starting lineup, now it's not about reps. Like last year we could say, man, he got the mental reps. He didn't get the physical reps on defense because he didn't start and didn't play a heavy amount, right? This year, he's getting the reps. He's expected and projected to get those reps and be the starter. And when you are the starter, like it puts you in a very a good place, right? It puts you in a place where that natural development throughout the season, and that's what I'm gonna be paying attention to for him. How do you handle the first 2 sack, your first multi-sack game, right? And I don't think this is a guy that's going to get complacent. But again, Just saying. Do you get complacent and not mail it in, but you had that same zeal the next week? No. I want 2 sacks the next week. I want a sack and a half the next week, whatever. Like, I think that's going to be the key for Nolan Smith, is just stacking games, stacking days, right? And stacking drives, being disruptive, being a playmaker. Because if he can be an impact player on their base sets, then you think about, okay, well, again, look at their depth chart. You have Bryce Huff, who I don't expect to come off the field. Brandon Graham is more so closer to retirement. They drafted Jalix Hunt, this draft as well. They have Zach Bond, Josh Sweat, and everything. But then when you ask yourself, okay, well, if Nolan Smith is handling business, if Bryce Huff is handling business, are we taking one of them off the field for Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham? Probably not. What you're probably going to do, if anything, is I could see Jordan Davis come off the field, but like if you take Jordan Davis off the field, I don't need to put one of those guys to kick Milton Williams down from that defensive end spot, that 5-tech defensive end spot in the base all front 3-4, and put him down into that reduced maybe 2-eye 3-tech alongside of Jalen Carter. And now we get to rush with 4 pass rush specialists, 4 explosive athletes working vertical upfield, putting pressure, applying pressure on the quarterback and the offensive line. So, again, potential second-year breakout. Yes, Nolan Smith is a potential second-year breakout candidate in the 2024 NFL season from the 2023 NFL draft class, but we have to get there first. So we'll see how that plays out. But, guys, that's our show. Talk about second-year breakout, potential second-year breakout. Nolan Smith, second-year edge rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. Talise Fuaga getting snaps and potentially projecting and expected to potentially be that starter at left tackle for the New Orleans Saints. We'll see how that plays out. And then stock up for Ricky Pearsall. If Brandon Aiyuk situation continues to get worse, more toxic, more volatile, and if he's traded or even if he's not, I still believe that there's a chance for Ricky Pearsall to make some headway and earn his keep and get that return on the investment for being a first-round pick. But, guys, happy Friday. That's our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Go subscribe and follow for free wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, have a great weekend. We have more training camp discussions coming up next week. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.